All right, let's see what they got for this final segment.
Cowboys have a long history of players who have been bad actors off the field, who have misbehaved, broken rules, broken laws. I know because I've written 3 books about the Dallas Cowboys. Pete Gent, a former Cowboy tight end, wrote a great book about life inside Don Meredith's Cowboys in the 1960s. That became a great movie called North Dallas 40. The 70s and the 80s filled with shocking incidents involving Cowboy players.
Oh, that's why Michael Irvin said Cooper Rush brought that rush hour 40.
Because of the reported drug use. Even though the Cowboy coach Tom Landry was known for his Christianity. Go figure. The 90s Cowboys won 3 Super Bowls while, as Coach Barry said, they won the game, then they won the party. Did they ever? I attended their 3rd and last Super Bowl party. So, as a lifelong, diehard Dallas Cowboy fan, I cringed when they took Kelvin Joseph in the 2nd round of the 2021 draft. He'd been a top recruit for LSU, but was suspended for violating team rules and transferred to Kentucky, where he also began rapping under the name Boss Man Fat. But at 6 feet and 200 pounds, Kelvin Joseph ran a 4.35 40, and the Cowboys took him 44th overall. And in April 2022, the police sought him as a person of interest after he was riding in a car from which fatal shots were fired. Joseph was not charged, but he never lived up to being 2nd-round pick, and yesterday he was traded to the Dolphins. 2022 2nd-round pick Sam Williams was recently arrested for a 2nd time this year, this time on controlled substance and weapon charges. But Jerry Jones says, I don't anticipate this impacting his time on the field. Okay.
Jerry is crazy.
So, Keyshawn,
what is that?
You played for the Cowboys. What do you make of their long history of drafting and signing players with questionable character?
You know, Skip, I don't make anything of it, to be honest.
Well, they need the headlines.
And the reason I don't make anything of it because the
see, if they just go get a player who hasn't been arrested, it's not as big a deal.
That have signed players with questionable character, so to speak.
Because they don't have questionable talent.
Well, I think you can look at it both ways. A lot of people say you tolerate, you put up with because they got talent.
Yeah.
But a lot of times what happens in this society and the places that we grow up in and we live in, we surround ourselves, and I mean we as black men.
Yep.
Because the majority of the people that we question the character on when they're getting drafted are African-American players. Every now and then you get some foolish stuff, but for the most part, you talk about black players that grow up in inner cities, that surround themselves with friends that they have grown up with. And you as an organization have to do your due diligence to the maximum level to find out if, in fact, it's worth the risk. You have to. Not just the Dallas Cowboys. I look at it, I was talking to Richard about it, because I remember, I look at the Seattle Seahawks and Bruce Irving, who had some issues when he got drafted out of West Virginia in the 1st round. He went on to play 12 years in the National Football League and won a Super Bowl. Or I look at Pete Carroll as a coach who has given people 2nd and 3rd opportunities that has had questionable issues along the way. Me, as the #1 overall pick from South Central LA, who you know very well, grew up extremely rough in the environment. I mean, it worked out for me pretty well. And I had all sorts of issues. But I had red flags all over the place. But Shaq Harris, who drafted me along with Dick Haley, said, those red flags there, I'm okay, I know what that is. And I think when you look at it, it's a case-by-case basis in different players. Now, you look at the kid, Kelvin Joseph, out of Kentucky, you say to yourself, well, he was in a car where there was gunshots or whatever fired, but he never was charged of anything. The Dallas Cowboys did their investigating, and they felt as though it wasn't a big deal, so they drafted him. You look at Lyle Collins.
This came after, actually.
After the fact.
But whatever.
But he had question marks before then.
He did.
And you look at Lyle Collins, the couple days before the draft, Richard, exactly what happened to him. He lost being a #1 overall pick, had to be an undrafted free agent because his name was linked to his girlfriend's death and a murder. He had nothing to do with it. So you have to do your due diligence. If you're an organization, you cannot turn your head on it. I just don't blame it. Everybody takes questionable character. They all do.
And your leash, your chances are determined by your talent. If people believe in you, especially coming out of the draft, if a team loves you and fell in love with you and they didn't get to draft you, and another team, you went to another team and it didn't work out and you made questionable decisions, they're going to say, I still love the kid. You know, you got Jerry Jones. He's going to go to his DB's coach or Dan Quinn and say, remember this kid we had a shot at? What do you think of him now? It's like, I still feel the same way. They didn't have him in the right spot or they didn't have him in the right situation. So we'll do better here. And even when they make decisions like that, he's like, hey, if we get him in this environment, he'll make better decisions. Jalen Carter, for example, is coming out of Georgia with a lot of things, a lot of question marks, a lot of red flags. The Philadelphia Eagles thought, hey, it's worth it for us to take a shot on this kid because we got a bunch of Georgia kids that he can be around that can make sure that he doesn't make those decisions.
Is that the one who was speeding really fast?
The game you guys played
got caught by the teacher.
An extremely competitive to the point of being violent game. It requires
was he racing the teacher? It was. I don't know.
Sometimes that edge can't go over the edge, but you have to take some risks on a player with some edgy background, hoping that it's Keyshawn Johnson, because if you spend enough time looking in that man's eyes, you see down in, it's the window to the soul, you look down to the bottom of your soul and you say, you know what? It's a good man. I look in your eyes and I can tell I've spent enough time deep down in there. Your heart's good, okay? So do you both have a lot of, you got a lot of edge to you, but I know when it's time to play that you're going to be there playing, and you both had lengthy careers in the NFL.
Skip has definitely become more empathetic with this show.
Simple. All right.
I don't know if it's just because they're in their honeymoon phase, but
well, guess who we get to talk about now? Is LeBron a better
probably that's
coach
like one of the main reasons that Shannon left, isn't it?
I think he is. That's just me. Rajon Rondo says that when he and Lakers teammate LeBron James were in the bubble in 2020,
this was a pretty cool interview with Rondo.
If they played Boston in the finals, Rondo could, quote unquote, outcoach Brad Stevens. And if they played Miami, LeBron would outcoach Eric Spoelstra. Of course, Rondo had played for Stevens. LeBron, of course, had played for Spo. Richard, your thoughts on that comment?
That's what great players, that's what makes the difference between great players in Hall of Fame and Hall of Fame players, because they're coaches on the field. They are involved in game planning. I understand offensive coordinators. I understand defensive coordinators. And in the NBA, they understand the head coach, their schemes, what they do well, what they don't, and they play the game.
He's absolutely right, 100%. In fact, I was talking to our producers about this last night and again this morning. I know you, Skip. I know Bill Parcells. I knew exactly what he would do when I played against him. All right, Bill Belichick. I knew Tony Dungy. I knew this is the way they're going to take me out. This is what they're going to try to do. I can out-chess them now, and that's the same way.
It just makes sense. I mean, Rondo was talking about the plays that he knew Stevens didn't
wanted to coach, which I doubt he will.
Or wasn't preparing for.
It's like the Deion factor. Could he be Deion? Sure he could, right?
But can they teach what they did? You know, that's always the athlete-coach argument.
Get bad players and be in trouble, no matter how great a coach you are.
Right.
Okay.
You need
see Belichick.
That is it for this Undisputed. I will try to be a little easier on these two tomorrow.
Hopefully Michael Irvin's here. That'd be nice.
I can't wait because I took both of them to school today, and it was shameful, but hey, and I'm sorry it had to go out on national television, but it's okay.
I'm sorry, Skip.
They're learning.
We're learning.
Skip got cooked today, let's be honest.